I just want to remind everyone who's listening, who's watching, number one, being bold, being fierce does not mean loud. It does not necessarily mean loud or overbearing, all right? There is power in what your brand is and who you are without being the loudest barrel, okay? So we don't want persons to think that by saying, stop playing small, it means you must go everywhere and say, yo, I'm rich. That's not what we're saying. Number two, building your brand, using social media, everything that we are doing in our lives is like building a house, brick by brick by brick. The house is not going to be built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. And yet still, we're very harsh on ourselves. I think we're very hard on ourselves. And we believe that somehow success is going to happen overnight. Remember when I said, people watch you out of your season. People are watching you and they are lurking and they're taking notes even when you are not aware. I did not get all the international gigs 5 years ago, 3 years ago, yet still there are some people who are reaching out now who've been telling me, Terri, I've been watching you for years. And now I have an opportunity and I want you to be a part of this partnership. So I think we also need to become very practical and very real with what our expectations are. My brand wasn't built yesterday. It wasn't built last year. This was something that was ongoing and it's happening over a period of years. And it is still ongoing. So I think we need to also be kind to what we say to ourselves where our brands are concerned and how quickly or slowly we build our brands. 3, specifically, as you're saying, people get caught up with brand guidelines and brand color and logo and a bag of things and them overthink and they try to position and posture to look and sound like what they think people want them to look and sound like. And what I'm saying is only you know what is best for you. I am a storyteller. I try to resonate on a very easy way. I don't ever think of what's the most beautiful photo I'm going to put up. What is my language that I'm going to use? I'm just completely honest. And what you understand is that when you're honest and you're consistent and you show what you believe in, what your core values are, and you post this every single day, listen, the community comes. I started with 5 likes. Then it went to 15 likes, 50. 1,500, but that takes time. That no, if I post something, my reach is far and wide. It didn't happen over time, and it doesn't mean that you have to try everything all at once either. Be patient, but you have to try. You have to practice because practice becomes perfect.
You're living your authentic life. You're going about your day and everything. You're teaching your daughter Spanish by having her play these games, which I love. Right?
Thank you.
But you also want to produce it in a way to, it's just like you have the camera there, but you want to produce it in a way that it looks authentic, it looks real, it's engaging, it's fun, because you always have to keep that marketing angle in the back of your mind, that psychology angle. Like, so how do you balance all of that? And
I don't stage anything. I don't stage anything. For persons who follow me on Instagram, they get a little piece of me as a mommy, as a best friend, as just a best friend for the entire community. I don't try to stage anything. I don't believe I have to go and get a DSLR. I don't think I need to go and get this massive speaker because I'm just being me in my space and I'm just capturing moments. So the thing is, I am not producing content that is going to be high def for TV. I am actually just capturing moments that people resonate with. And again, it goes back to what is your objective and how do you want people to see you and view you? For me, I don't want people to view me as polished. I don't want them to view me as perfect. So I speak about vulnerabilities, I speak about triumphs, I speak about failures, and I let them in so that they can see more of the person behind the brand. People like people. People want to do business with people they like. So if every day you get up, you're going to be very staged and very perfect and very polished and you're very hee, ha, 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 nobody's going to fall for that. We're all going to be like, who is she fooling? Every day I get up, just how I'm here, I talk to my people just like this. I don't put on an accent. I don't try to dress up too much in the house if I know I do not dress up in the house normally. And I think that's what people overlook. They overthink and they try to go very commercial when they don't realize that your community appreciates when they can see themselves in you and through you.
Yeah, fully agree. All right, Terry. So,
but you must show up every day. Kevin, you, your listeners, you guys have to show up every day.
Every day, Terry.
Every single day.
Terry, we busy, you know.
Listen, we love to say that we're busy, and we will make excuse for every Jesus thing. But you know what I know about Caribbean people? We make time for that which is important to us.
Okay.
We make time and we prioritize things that are important to us. So what I am saying is we can't all be talking about building our personal brands and expanding our territory when we don't want to show up. We want to build big audience, but you don't want to show up for the 5 people where you have now. You don't want to show up for the 10 people you have now. You have people who are cuss, then put up a flyer, and if the flyer don't get 100 likes, then take down the flyer. If you are inconsistent and if your excellence is conditional, meaning it is based on the likes and the amount of people you have, then you are not a brand. You're not really trying to build your brand. You have to show up every single day. You cannot repost or reshare things that do not align with your energy and what you believe in. You can't try out everything, trying to be everything to everybody. Pick your lane. Know the vibe that you're working with. Understand the tribe that you're trying to attract. And you show up every single day, and I promise you, your tribe will come.
All right, sorry. I'm going to give one more objection before we move on, right?
Okay.
Because this... Yes, because this everyday thing, right? So what if I just feel like what if my life is not all that interesting, right? So the other night, you know, I think it was after I had my initial conversation with you, that 3-hour prep session, right?
Yes.
And I was like, all right, well, let me try and make this business valuation thing look cool, because I was up in the morning running numbers in Microsoft Excel, right? It doesn't get more exciting than Microsoft Excel.
So sexy.
Right? So I said, all right, let me do a little video. Let me make sure and hide the company's name that I'm valuing or whatever. Let me do a little video, zoom in, zoom out, pinch, and add some rap music playing in the background. So it was a cool video. And
you actually produced. You edited. You produced.
I edited. I mean, I had the music playing in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, I was something. Right? And I put that in my IG stories. 2 minutes later, somebody messaged me. A girl messaged me, and she said, hey, can you introduce me to that who own that company? But I say, all that profit they make it. I say, oh Lord, let me delete this one time before I get in trouble. So, you know, and like that is what I do during the day. So I can't. So how do I show myself, you know, doing this kind of boring?
Why did you delete it? The company was covered. The company was.
Because there's financial information. You're showing the profit, and I think that the tab had like the first name of the file name of the company.
Got you. You know what? You know when I started getting my gigs? I started getting my gigs when I intentionally started to sit down in front of this like orange wall that my Insta family will tell you. Once this orange wall goes up, they know I'm coming to drop gems about something. What you do is something that a lot of people take for granted or they have no knowledge of, all right? What you should be doing, not that you should be, but one of the things that you could consider doing is like, educate me. When you said you were a business evaluator, I was like, what the backside is that? Imagine if you, based on the interviews you've done with the companies, the persons you've worked with, you know the frequently asked questions, you know the mistakes companies be making, you know where they're going wrong. You now get to be the authority and the expert to help business people position so that the value of their business could, you know how many people would value that? So can you imagine if Kevin once a week got up and is not interviewing someone and there isn't a collaborative effort, but Kevin getting up and saying, you know, one of the biggest things that hurt people's businesses is the fact that they upscale too fast. You know, they start earning a little bit of money and they upscale. You know what will do best for the valuing of your business? If you were to Suppose Kevin got up once a week and said, here are my 10 do not do's if you're a small business trying to increase your value. Do you know the shareability of this? And I want you to also understand, you might get 100 likes under that. But you see, when you check out how many people saving your video, then how many people sharing your video, that is the value. I don't even look on vanity metrics. I don't care about the likes. I like the shareability and I like the saves, because each person taking my content and sharing my content with another network increases my visibility and my reach. And it is only when you start to do that and start to create content that is shareable will your community expand. It can't happen if you don't do that. So for me, I think people need to look at the unique positions they're in. What are people always asking them to help them with? What is it that people in their community have problems with? What is their problem? What is their pain point? All right, I'm going to sit down, do a little 5 minutes saying, guys, I realize that this is an issue that a lot of you are having when you do your website. You know what you need to do? Like Karen Rose. Bam, 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 bam. And that is why YouTube tutorials do so well, because people want to know how to fix a problem. So Kevin, once a week, show up on a particular day and the community will start coming because they want you as the expert to tell them how to increase the value of their business.
Suzanne, and say, oh, every other week.
Or depending on what your situation is. But what I'm trying to drill down is the consistency. If you stand up at a bus stop, waiting for a bus that passes every day, all of a sudden the bus passes every other day, you do not know what time this bus is coming, you can no longer rely on this bus, you go to another bus stop. You stop waiting for that bus. So what I'm saying is you have to show up every day. You have to.
All right. So let's not I mean, I want to be. I enjoy this free coaching. I really do. But I have to think about the audience right now. So, because we can talk after. I have to think about the audience, right? So, okay, well, hold on. Somebody's asking, what if you've been in the business for many years? How do you mean? What do you mean, Nicole? Roxine, sorry. What do you mean?
Hey, Rox.
Right. Media.
Okay, what's the question?
All right, so Roxine, you can type out that question and we'll get to that during the Q&A session. All right, so Terry, right now, like I was saying, so many of us are quietly doing these things and not showing up enough on social media, like you just said. But we're in the middle of a pandemic now. Companies have laid off people. Companies have cut their salaries. I've actually saw a company filed for bankruptcy yesterday, a very large company.
I did as well. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And my internet was giving. Anyway, so let me leave them alone. All right. So people are stuck home, and not everybody are introverts like us, where they're comfortable home and everything. So what do they do now? Like lots of people's income slash. I mean, I know your income has been threatened because you can't go and host events and stuff right now. So what have you done?
And look at me just chilling. Look at me, like chilling. Since March, I literally saw my calendar of events, right? From March all the way down to this month, May, cancel, because my job requires managing audiences that range from maybe 300 to the largest audience I've ever managed, like 3,000 people. So automatically I'm like, oh God, okay. But I give God thanks for Millicent. I just got my granny who teach me, listen, you must always say for a rainy day. You're always to be practical. And even though you're climbing your ladder of success, don't be stupid with your money. Make wise financial decisions. And even if you're making $2, save 50 cents. Because even at the top of my game, I still save as if tomorrow is my last. And I can say only because I have that practical approach why I'm able to live comfortably right now for probably a couple of months, if not like a year. Number two, I understand any fear and anxiety that people have. I don't think everybody's expected to have their productivity being through the roof, because we all have our realities and we have our challenges. And so the first thing I want to tell any of your persons, you know, watching and listening is don't compare yourself to somebody else. You know, if you go on social media and you see some people grinding, they can grind, big ups to them. If right now your mental space isn't there, be kind to yourself. Take the time to breathe and to figure out a good time to come out of it. Don't stay in it. Don't stay in it, but take some time to figure it out. The first 3 weeks of the pandemic, I was unproductive because I was in the process of what's going to happen next. How do I readjust? How do I re-strategize? And these are important questions for you to ask yourself. Your answer may not come in the first month. It may not even come in the second month. But what I forced myself to do is to say, all right, Terri, you are in a very unique position now where you can rebrand, you can reinvent, you can now do all the things that maybe you said that you didn't have the time to do. And what I did was I said, I'm gonna develop my own website. And I got in touch with Karen Rose, and that's what I decided to do. We might be down, but it doesn't mean that we're out. And delayed does not mean denied. So what I would encourage persons to do, again, is to remind yourself you are not defined by what you're doing. So even if you were an accountant and you got laid off because you're an accountant, what other things can you come and bring to social media? What can you talk about? What kind of community and expertise can you offer people? I've seen people literally switch their business model all of a sudden because they realize that they just have to. So for me, there's no one way for everybody to do it because we all have different situations and we can't all do the same thing at the same time. What I will say is take your time, be vulnerable, speak to your heart. What do you want? And think about practical steps to get to that goal. If you're doing an online class, it must be intentional to meet a goal that you want to do. Don't do an online class because everybody's doing an online class. So just be mindful of how what you're doing should be helping your brand when you come out of this, because people are still watching and people still want to do business. So you still need to be present and purposeful.
Indeed. You know, so you talk about building that website, right? And building... Yeah, right. So for people building a website, it's like just like that. You know, I don't know what was the Jamaican version of that. Gwesa, I don't know. So
Jano, we said Jano, like God no.
Right. So building a website is this mammoth task. People see it as this mammoth task, but you go ahead and again, not playing small, going big. You went in and of course, big up to Karen Rose every time. You hooked up with Karen Rose and you got your website out. So
5 weeks.
5 weeks, right? So yeah. Walk us through that experience. And do you think it's easy for somebody else to do it, or so tell us how that went for you?
I think everything comes down to attitude. I think in this season I've heard the scriptures resonate inside of me. Be still and know that I am God. Which means that even now when the place is there's a lot of anxiety and fear and people don't know what to do. There's a lot of noise and distraction. Be still. Find some time for yourself to really figure out what you want to do. I also thought of the scriptures, for I know the plans I have for you, saith the Lord. So even at this moment when a lot of us are uncertain, I feel like our season is still coming. But the scripture that I love the most says, faith without works is dead, which means that we still have to put in the work and we still have to prepare ourselves and our table in the presence of our enemies. And right now, COVID is our enemy. So I said, when this is coming, when this is over, I don't want to be the new normal. I don't want to start back over where I last left off. I don't want, if this thing ends in June or July, when people come back to Terri-Karelle, I still looking and operating like Terri-Karelle in February. Nah, I rebuke the hashtag new normal in the name of Jesus. I want to prepare my table because my season is coming, and when the feast goes on my table, it will be prepared. So what I did was I said, all right, am I happy with everything? No. Am I pivoting? What do I want to highlight? What am I going to do when this is over? And the website was a very good place to start. I have a good following on social media, but social media is not everything. I believe if you really want to have a strong online brand, then that means you have to kind of do your website. So I got to work with an attitude of, I can do this. This is for me. If I don't put priority on it, again, nobody else will. I have to give myself this time. And I started the class, and if Karen gave me homework and said, go and do 1 page, I would come back with 3 pages. And if he said, fix out just this and this, I came out, and he's on, I don't know if he's still on the call, but
Yeah. Karen here, he drinking, he had his wine chilling before.
His wine. He will tell you that my attitude, he'll tell you that my attitude is very all right, because my excellence, again, you ask me for 4, I'm going to give you 40. You are going to get your 4, that's fine. But the 36 extra, I'm doing for myself. And that is the attitude that I had, and that is what I implemented with my website. And the feedback has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Yes.
Terri-Karelle.com, if anybody's asking.
Yes, of course, Terri-Karelle.com. And then you want to see all Terry's links, go to Terri-Karelle.com/all things Terry.
Whoa. And this time, and in this time, I tell people, experiment now. While everybody's down, you were afraid of people seeing you. Experiment now. Try things now. Post now. See what works. See what time works on social media. Now is the time for you to experiment while people are doing a lot of things. And so by the time you come out of it, you would have come out a little bit more experienced where your brand is concerned.
Terry, so in another talk you gave, you spoke about learning to continuously learn and learning to fail, right? And when we look at your story, I mean, yeah, there were some setbacks here and there where you overcame, you doubled down and everything. But can you tell us, like, is there a time where you actually failed, like when you just say, Terry, but you do too good today, and how did you recover from that? So in other words, what's your favorite failure story?
My favorite, boy, I fail a lot, I've actually failed a lot. It's just that what people have seen is my desire to win in spite of the failure. My biggest failure, that's kind of hard. I think, I don't know if it's failure or if it was self-doubt. I think for me, in the areas that I stepped into that were all very new areas for me, I was always the most inexperienced, and I was always the youngest. And I think sometimes we look at things that we believe are disadvantages, and we think that we are put at a disadvantage because of those things, and we don't realize how much we can bring to the table. So I think in a lot of the spaces that I went to where I wasn't qualified, there was a lot of self-doubt, and trying to figure things out meant failing, meant getting draped up sometimes by your boss who expected something different. But what I've learned along this lifetime is that I can't take it personally. Like, if I want to be the best at what I want to do, then I'm going to be criticized, and I'm not going to get everything perfect. And there are going to be people who know more than me. And so for me, and if anybody wants a real good book to read, it would be the 4 Laws of Agreement. And one of them is, don't take things personally. Because you fail, it doesn't make you a failure. Your failure and the language that you use really means that it's a lesson. It's something that you tried, it didn't work. All right, get over it and let's try again. I can't think of a particular failure right now more than them being moments of trying to figure out spaces and territories that I was not familiar with.
Yeah. So you also talk about learning to laugh, to enjoy life. And we spoke about environments earlier, about the people you have around you and everything, right? So, and you talk about not having the people who drain your energy, the woe is me, everything negative, So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think people take this thing for a joke. People say you're the sum of the friends you have or whatever. I say, listen, birds of a feather flock together. We're Caribbean people, right? Show me your company and I will tell you who you are. Some of us in life, and I'll give you an example. My daughter and I shared it with Instagram, and people say I find a story in everything. I picked up my daughter one day from swimming, and We went home, XYZ. The next day I went to the car and the car smelled terrible, like a wet rag or a wet carpet. We searched the car, the car smelled bad. We wind down the window, I spray air freshener, the car smelled bad. Went back the second day, the car smelled worse. And I said, no, man, I checked the mats and I'm like, no, man, the car smelled really bad. I went into the trunk, opened up the trunk, and I realized that it was Naima's wet towel from her swimming session 2 days ago that was in the bag that was causing the car to smell dank, right? Mm-hmm. Took out the bag, carried the bag inside. I kid you not, I didn't leave my windows down, nothing. About an hour and a half, 2 hours later, I sit in the car, the smell is gone. The smell is gone. And the only thing that came to my mind is that is how some people are in your life. Sometimes you wake up every day and you're just like, this heaviness, this toxicity, this smell, like, what is it? And you're trying to check and you think you're checking all of the different areas, trying to get rid of the smell. And you realize that you pluck a friend, a partner, whoever, somebody who is in your space. You decide to remove them, and an hour later, your car smells good. Your life feels lighter. And I think that is what we need to do. We audit other people's business more than we audit our own. Audit your life. Audit your friends. Audit the co-workers you choose to bring into your personal space. Not everybody is deserving of your energy, and not everybody is deserving of your time. And the ones who are toxic, who are always negative, who always want sus about people, they gotta go. They gotta go. Because whether you like it or not, they play a part, they take a toll on you. And so when I look in my space, everybody just lively and happy and energetic. And if you feel down, they're like, nah, let's keep going. Those are the people I want around me. And I'm not afraid to say, we cannot be friends if you don't fall within that line. I'm not afraid to say that.
Love it, love it, love it. And it's so true, right? But on the flip side, what if we are that person who's always negative and heavy? What if we are that worries me person?
Don't take it personal. Don't take it personally. If you are negative, you know that you're negative, you know that you can be toxic. It means that you have to start working on yourself. You have to start working on yourself. We can't get up every day and blame people for not being able to put up with your toxicity. It is not fair for people's loyalty to be measured based on how much whippings they can take from you. And that is something we do as Caribbean people. To prove our love and our loyalty, we stay in toxic relationships, because if we don't stay in it, we're going to look like a bad friend. Sometimes when you need to know when to cut your losses. And if you are that negative friend, you need to step way back. You need to hold several seats. You need to work on yourself. You need to heal, because you're bleeding over everybody. You are destroying meaningful relationships. So until you can find a healthier you, and you can do your self-care, and you can change your perspective and read it, and maybe get therapy. No wrong with the therapy. It's still a stigma in the Caribbean. Go and get your therapy. And when you're in a better place, now you will realize the difference. Now you will realize what you bring to the table and how people will receive you differently.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of therapy has been somewhat replaced with life coaches.
Yeah. Mental health is important, and we need to stop the foolishness labeling people as mad. And, people are embarrassed to say that their children are going to the therapy. Wives and mothers and husbands are afraid, especially if they're Caribbean men. They are afraid to say, boy, I'm going to go and get some help, because they're afraid of being mad. Let me tell you something. When we want to get our hair done, we go to a hairdresser. When we want our nails done, we go to a nail salon. When we want a suit, we know which boutique for go. And when we want to take care of ourselves, we know all the places to go. And yet still, when it comes to taking care of our mental space, it's hard for go a therapist. Get the help you need. Your mental health is important.
So talk about learning to fight against entitlement, right? I mean, a lot of us feel like, oh gosh, man, we deserve this. We work hard. We study this. We got this program, this master's, whatever, and we deserve this job. We deserve this salary. We deserve this fee for our work or whatever it is. Like, how do we fight against that? How do we deprogram that?
I would love to tell people that meritocracy is something that's gonna happen. Life is life. I keep on saying it. Control what you can control. You know, the spirit of entitlement is a barrier. I think it restricts a lot of us because we're so hell-bent on having it handed to us, dropping in our laps. And we think that, you know, because we get the master's and we have the PhD, we're going to get the corner office overlooking Manhattan skyline. And if we don't get it, stop. Life has a way of humbling you. Life has a way of showing you that you're not in control. My first job paid me $20 a week. I worked from 8:30 to 5 and then 8 to 10, and I had 1 day off. And I will tell you, and it's actually a blog that I did on my website. It was my first job at Sandals, Montego Bay as a playmaker. $20. And I could have said, but I am way smarter than this. Come on. You know, I graduated from Campion College. I was deputy head girl. I mean, my life is ahead of me. Why should I be running around the place for so many hours for $20? I could have said all of those things, but that is not my perspective. It's not my mindset, and it is not my attitude. Honor the small roles. We cannot step into bigger shoes, and we cannot follow bigger feet, and we cannot follow bigger footsteps if we cannot simply show up for the small roles. And Kevin, I had 8 weeks on that job. 8 weeks. And of the 8 weeks, I was employee of the week 7 times.
What?
The first week I showed up, when they congratulated me in my department and said, congratulations, you're employee of the week. I thought I was employee of the week for the 9 of us who were playmakers, only to find out that it was the entire hotel that voted me, and I had just shown up 6 days prior. Why? Because I am not defined by my role. I don't expect anything to be given to me. I expect to earn my keep. And if it means working through a small role for $20 for a specific amount of time, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Because at the end of my 8th week, the general manager came to me and said, your name keeps on coming up. Guests are leaving your letters, they're sending emails. We'd like to offer you a job. He said, these are the opportunities. People are watching you even when you do not know. And so when your excellence is unconditional, it means that you're going to do it all the time. And I had to look at the gentleman and tell him, thank you so very much, but I just got the scholarship to go to Cuba, and I told him I was going to take it. You have to be the worst. You have to be the best at your worst job, at your smallest job, at your smallest role, because if you can honor that, you can honor the big roles and the big jobs and the big money and the bigger titles.
Wow. 20 US a month, man. Look at that. I love that.
Yeah, 20
that.
a week, 20 US a week.
Mm-hmm. A week, right.
Which was still crappy.
So on the flip side of that entitlement question, right? You know, we also need to value our time and talent, right? And your energy.
Of course. Right? Of course. But what I've learned is you have to take baby steps. Most of the time, you don't just come out blazing. A lot of the time, even though you're a PhD and you have master's and you have a degree and you have a whole heap of things, it's really experience. It's really experience. Life is not about academics. It's not about academia. It's really not about who's the smartest. It's who can relate. It is who is creative, who can adjust, who can adapt, who can be a great team player, who can be a great team leader. And guess where you find those things? You learn those things on jobs. And you don't learn those things by jumping into the cushy seat in the cushy corner office. Most of those skills that we learned have been in the jobs that rough. But what I'm saying is that there comes a point in time when you've now elevated yourself, where you have the academia, maybe you have the academics, you have the experience, you know, have the feedback that now you can say, all right, now I am in a position to bargain. Now I'm in a position to negotiate. Now I'm in a position to set my price, but I cannot set my price before proving myself. I can't.
Love it. All right. So this has been excellent. We're about to go into Q&A.
I hope everybody has been enjoying it. I haven't seen the messages, but I hope everyone...
Oh, no, the messages have been on fire.
I hope they've been enjoying it. I'm trying to be as honest, as open, and as transparent as I possibly can.
Yeah. No, the messages have been on fire. So I'm just scrolling through the chat so weed out some questions. All I'm saying is, yeah, Terry, I agree. Yeah. All right. So Karine Simpson asked, what advice would you give to someone who has been in a career for over 20 years and wants a change but doesn't know how?
All right. Well, the first thing I would ask is, if you didn't have anybody judging you, if you didn't have anybody reporting to, what would you want to do? I think it's extremely important for us to know, take the opportunity to ask ourselves, what do we want to accomplish? What do we want to do for ourselves? If we could have if a genie drop in front of you right now and asked you, what is your wish? What would you want to do? Where would you want to be? What community would you want to serve? What problem would you want to solve? And I think when you start with those questions, it kind of helps you to define the industry, or it helps to define the framework that you want to be in. Don't start from a place of, well, everybody's doing this, or digital seems to be taking off, so I'm just going to digital because. No. Ask yourself, now that you've done 20 years in this and you're good, what are your strengths? What are your expertise? And where do you see yourself? And what would you love to do? No holds bar. At the end of the day, I always tell people as much as possible, I believe in the Japanese concept, the ikigai. I don't know if you guys know it. It is the reason for your purpose, or it's your purpose for reason. And what the Japanese, who, by the way, have the most awesome concepts and philosophies in life, say is that your purpose lies when 4 particular circles intersect. One circle is, what do you love to do? Oh, your passion. But we know that sometimes we may love to sing, but we can't sing, which brings us to the second circle, which is, what do you do well? All right. The third circle is, what would people pay you for? And the last circle is, what does the world need? When those 4 circles intersect, that is your purpose. So for example, media, I didn't know I loved media. I knew that I loved the art of public speaking and relating to people. What I realized is that I was good at it. I realized people would pay for it. And I realized that it is something that is needed in the world, media, shows. And then I realized I was good at it. And I found out that when all of those 4 circles intersect, that's really where you find your purpose. So I'm asking that gentleman to sit down, do that circle, write down his strengths, what he loves to do, what he's good at, what will people pay for, and what does the world need, what problem can he solve, and see what he comes out with. And then he should go with the one that most suits him or her.
Okay. All right. And all right. So rapid fire. So we have this quick one here from Monique. Do you do mentorship for university students or graduates?
Do I do? Oh, mentorship. Oh gosh. If I got $1 for every time I got that question, ooh, girl. So I've been asked, and what I do is I make myself available very loosely. So people who come to my online platforms, they ask me everything ranging from, they're going to go into a job interview. What should they do? Terry, I'm going to go do a presentation. What should I do? I make myself available. I'm usually very busy. And so what I've done is I have not committed to a mentorship program because I hate committing half-assed. And I hate for people to run me down and they can't find me when they need me. So I literally use my platform, my entire platform. And any question that anyone wants to ask, I always respond. And that is how I've managed to answer questions. You can also visit my website, hello@terri-karelle.com, if you have a question you want to send, and I will definitely respond to you.
Boom. And that website will be linked up in our show notes and our summary notes. Okay, so we have a question here from Alicia Cooper, who's part of the Become Investable and Caribbean Power Lunch team. Mm-hmm. I'm involved in multiple businesses and I love what I do. How do I decide what to put out there without seeming all over the place?
Oh, girl, that's me. Girl, you speak, what's her name? Monique?
Alicia.
Alicia, my girl, you spoke to my heart. You spoke to my heart. So if we're going to go back to what we were saying, is that we don't really believe in the traditional things. We don't really believe in how the people think traditionally, right? We believe in being multi-potentialites. I don't understand how, as individuals, we're so dynamic. We love different things. We watch different sports. We eat different foods. We have different interests. Yet still, when it comes to our profession, we're expected to do this one thing and have this one goal. I think we're dynamic. And I think if we can be excellent at all the other things that we do and nothing loses its value, then sure. It becomes a problem when you do too much. You have too much on your plate. You spread yourself too thinly, and then some area or aspect of the business falls short. So if you visit my website, you'll see that I speak, I do workshops, I host, I do online branding classes. I do tons of things, but I don't seem like I'm all over the place because I have everything structured. I have documented everything that I have done. I have my social proof. I have my testimonials, and those things become a big part of people backing up that even though you might be doing a million things, you are still busting shot on all of them. So I think you have to audit all the things that you do, all the businesses that you do, and ensure that you're not leaking or falling behind in any of these areas. If you are, you might either have to tighten up those ships, or you might have to make a very hard decision, which is get rid of the ones that are extra baggage, that are not really bringing in anything or adding any value, and pay attention to the ones that are your biggest assets. Other than that, don't feel bad for being a multi-potentialite.
Okay, so Ren-Nisha.
Renisha.
Yes. Oh, right. You see, I'm sure she's Jamaican, right? You know, the hyphenated name. I love it. Hi, Terry. Love you. Hashtag Jamaican girl. I just started my YouTube channel and being authentic is my standard. How do I not oversimplify my brand? Where do I draw the line?
Draw the line in terms of, well, I believe, thank you for the question. I believe that we should not mix a couple of things. Authenticity and transparency do not mean oversharing, okay? We have to be very careful with being authentic and being transparent and being open and being vulnerable, but we also need to be careful of oversharing. Yeah. And that is, before you say something, you need to stop and you need to ask yourself, if I share this piece of information, can this affect me 2 months from now, 2 weeks from now? How can it affect, or will it affect, or can it affect the other aspects of my life? If somebody is Googling my name or searching for me over the internet, is this something that I would want people to necessarily know about me? Would this be something comfortable? Those are serious questions we need to ask before we type, caption, repost, reshare. We need to think before we do. So for me, my online community will tell you, I am authentic. Everything I post, people can see right through that. What I say and do, they can see my passion, which means that if you speak with a certain level of confidence, authority, and passion, you will never oversimplify. But my community also knows that I'm private. They know that I'm very mindful and very intentional about what I say, how I say it, to whom and when and where. And that is something we need to all practice when it comes to our brand on and offline.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna take 3 more questions because we just over 10 minutes away from that 3 o'clock mark or the 2 o'clock mark.
So long with there? Really?
Long time. All right. So the next question comes from Roxine. How do I rebrand myself on social media? Do I pull from life experiences to speak to my community, as you put it, Terry?
Yes. So thanks for the question, Rocks in a Box. 2 things for you. One, we all assume that people know what we do. You know, we look in our people bios and we say Aquarius chick, God before all, lover of patties. That's great and all. I know you're being authentic. You're a foodie. Yeah, I get it. That says nothing. I don't know what you do, and I'm going to keep on scrolling. So I think people need to, even those of us who are rebranding, we need to be very intentional about what we say in our bios. And we must not be afraid to point out the what we do and the community we serve. All right. So number one, make sure that you're optimizing and make sure that you are utilizing and maximizing all your online platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or your website, to make sure that when people drop on it, they can see what you're about. Which brings me to my second question. When you're posting, for example, in Instagram, it would be nice if your first 3 to 6 grids actually had some kind of social proof of what you do. So it is hard to say that you are an event host if there are absolutely no photos with you actually, or I don't know, hosting your events. So now you need to be intentional about documenting what you do, which a lot of us don't. We go, we do the job, and we cut. Get a friend, get a tripod, get your phone, put it up at a particular part, put it on record, and capture moments that you can now use as content, which will back up what it is you do. Lastly, in rebranding, look back and audit the things that worked for you, right? The things that were going well, that are your strengths, and the things that weren't really working. And then you adjust. So maybe you didn't do video before, do video now. Maybe you weren't vulnerable before and you didn't share your background or your backstory, share it now. Be a little bit more human. Were you engaging before? If you weren't, engage now. So those are probably the first things that I would say. Get in line. Don't worry about logo and brand guidelines and color. Those things don't really matter. It's you showing up consistently and proving what you do, how you do it, and who you help.
These questions coming in hard. Okay. What platform do you think is best? This is from Kwame Gill. What platform do you think is best, Terri? IG Live, Facebook Live, posts, blogs, podcasts? There's so many platforms.
It depends on what your objective is. Well, first of all, I think if you are on this earth, you should have a website. I really do believe that. Because social media, even though it's free and you get to open up your accounts and everything is just so simple. I've seen last year where WhatsApp popped down, Instagram popped down, LinkedIn popped down, and a lot of persons were bawling about the impact that it had on their business for the day. Whereas if you have your website, you control your own narrative. So the first thing I would say is, if you can, WordPress and a lot of these different Wix, they're free. So it doesn't have to be a 10-page website. If you can just have a place that you can control your own narrative, I think that's very important. Also remember, not everybody's on social media, and people are still going to Google as their #1 search engine. So I think investing in a website and just putting a couple of photos and just little information would be helpful. If I had to choose 2 platforms, LinkedIn would be my first social media platform, simply because those are persons who are strategically trying to look business, collaborate, hire. These people are professionals. So if you are in the professional space, that is where opportunities locally as well as internationally usually stem from. The other social media platform, I would say, depends on what it is you are doing. If you have a product or service that is very visual, then Instagram is the one for you. If you are a chef who does recipes, then maybe YouTube is the one for you. So I think you have to look at your product or your service to determine whether you do Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, in my opinion.
Okay, so we're getting more and more questions, and I want to know, audience, say yes if you're willing to go beyond the hour. Terri, say yes if you're willing to go beyond the hour.
No, I'm here to help. I see somebody say, for example, how do you feel about Caribbean people saying they're specifically here to Caribbean people? And should we brand that way? I think there's nothing wrong with creating products and services for our Caribbean people. We are a market. We have money. We're spending money. We're doing online shopping. We have e-commerce. There is nothing wrong with us having products and services that help to strengthen our Caribbean nation. And you'd be surprised to know how many people from foreign, big foreign, are looking to us, the experts who are, becoming experts in our niches, to help them understand the Caribbean landscape much better. So I don't think there's anything wrong with making your niche Caribbean, as long as you're bringing valuable content to the Caribbean. Then I don't think there's anything wrong with that niche.
All right. So as we get ready to head into overtime then, Chantel asks, how do you come out of your shell without thinking about what people will think?
You just answered your question, my baby. You just answered my question. Right now, the most limiting factor for most of us is the fact that we give too many people power, their opinions, power. And a lot of the time, we think they might say or feel something, and we're assuming. You know how many people said to me, Terri, I thought when I did my first video, because you convinced me to do my video, I thought people would have told me it was bad and I was terrible and I was this. And she said, you know what I get? I get a lot of support. I got feedback that I didn't anticipate, because we're all expecting it to be negative. That's another thing that we do. Why we always assume that people's opinions are going to be negative. Sometimes people just need to know what it is you can do in order to cheer you on. But we can't expect them to cheer us on sometimes if we ourselves not putting ourselves on display. So number one is to forget about them. Forget about them. Progress is not made by thinking about other people. Apple, Amazon, Oprah, all of them people wouldn't be where they were if they listened to people. People said that Apple and the iPhone was never gonna work. Look at them now. Forget about people. You are who is important. You are the voice that matters. And with you, practice becomes perfect. So it's not that you're gonna reach a state of perfection one time. What it means is every day you have to get up and you have to try something, which I help when I train persons who want to get better in public speaking. Every day you get up, you practice in the mirror, you practice with notes, and eventually over a period of time, you no longer practice in the mirror, you practice in front of a friend. Over a period of time, you no longer practice in front of the friend, you no longer use your notes, you're now using little cue cards, cheat cards, and you keep on practicing, and all of a sudden you're walking across a stage by yourself with all of your notes in your head. That comes with practice. So if we're going to come out of our shell, it means stepping out in spaces, it means participating, volunteering, getting involved in things, taking responsibility instead of not wanting to be the team leader in this group. I'll volunteer to be the team leader. It's only when you push yourself out of your comfort zone will you be able to come out of your shell. You can't grow if you're still going to hold on to the very shell that you're in right now.